So by adding a cleaner and cleaner into your disinfectant program and your cleaning program, aids ultimately for that disinfectant to have a much more greater effectiveness on killing the pathogens. That level is that much lower. Most all soaps, detergents will kill off some of the bacterial and viral pathogens. So you're also getting some ability to inactivate those pathogens also. So therefore, it's a huge essential, but it also saves time on money, water. The labor is where you save some money on, and then saving on water. Additionally, adding the cleaners, you're using less power washer. You don't necessarily need as high pressure or as much water, so you're saving on your equipment in the building.
Hello and welcome to the Swine podcast. I'm Dr. Tara Donovan, your host, and today I have Kevin Whitaker as my guest. Kevin is the Senior Distribution Account Manager, Technical and Sales Support of CID Lines, Swine Biosecurity Products, and Ecolab Company. Welcome to our show, Kevin.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan.
Great. So today we're going to discuss how to strengthen your swine biosecurity program using cleaners and detergents to make your disinfection work better. But before we begin, Kevin, can you just take a few minutes and introduce yourself to our audience, give us a brief background of your career path?
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for having me. Quite a varied experience. I have a lot of experience going all the way back from swine genetics, swine nutrition, also the animal health distribution world, and quite a bit of experience within actual production side of it, and have been very involved in that and consulting and working with producers. And then the greatest sum of my experience is working in the biosecurity world and working as a technical resource in sales and service for a few different companies, and been with CID Lines, Ecolab for about 2 years at the role that I'm at currently, and enjoy, and I kind of have a passion for animal health biosecurity all the way back from my genetics times when I realized biosecurity 30 years ago was a big thing even yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Diseases, unfortunately, especially that bug called PRRS, is only getting harder and harder to control. And so a very important topic for us today.
Exactly.
Are you looking for effective cleaning and disinfection solutions for your farm? Look no further than CID Lines and Ecolab Company. Our swine program offers advanced hygiene solutions that ensure thorough cleaning and disinfection of barns and drinking water systems. With products like Kinesan, Viricid, and our newest addition, CID 15X, you can reduce pathogens, improve animal health, and boost productivity. Trust CID Lines for a cleaner, healthier, and more efficient swine production.
So let's dive into the details on how to get the most out of your cleaning and disinfection products. So explain, Kevin, to us, we'll just start off with, explain how a cleaner in the washing and disinfection protocol will make it more effective.
Yeah, everybody understands. We go in, we use a power washer, right? We pre-soak a lot of times and put a lot of water into the pits, and then, spend a lot of money on water or pumping water, and then come in and generally utilize high pressure and just blast things with everything. The part about that, though, is adding a cleaner is a part, well, you think about it, do you go home and wash your dishes without putting a little bit of soap on them, or you just rinse them off and throw them back in the cupboard? What is the first thing that happens to your car when you pull into the robot car wash, the automatic car wash? Is it wets it maybe a little bit, but it soaps it. And then you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm in this little cloud of suds for a little bit. That's the soaps, the detergents that are making the work, breaking down the soils, the biofilms, and everything that are in there. That's what the cleaners do. Ultimately, a disinfectant only works on any pathogen that it's in contact with. So by adding a cleaner and cleaner into your disinfectant program, in your cleaning program, aids ultimately for that disinfectant to have a much more greater effectiveness on killing the pathogens. That level is that much lower. Most all soaps, detergents will kill off some of the bacterial and viral pathogens. So you're also getting some ability to inactivate those pathogens also. So therefore, it's a huge essential, but it also saves time on money, water. The labor is where you save some money on, and then saving on water. Additionally, adding the cleaners, you're using less power washer. You don't necessarily need as high pressure or as much water. So you're saving on your equipment in the building. As we all know, the buildings are getting much more expensive to put up and maintain and continue to work with. And downtime is a challenge to have to be able to allow that maintenance.
So I always talked about, if you have a dirty lasagna pan and you try to wash it with cold water without any soap, or then you even try to wash it with hot water without any soap, and then you add some soap, right? What's your experience, right, with washing a dish? And it's kind of the same in a barn. So in terms of cleaners, so tell us a little bit more detail about what those cleaners are doing to you. So saving time.
Yes. Ultimately, you need to understand there's basically two different classifications of cleaners. There's an acidic cleaner and there's alkaline cleaners. For the most part, in swine barns, what we're working with needing is an alkaline cleaner. The reason for that is basically everything we're working with is organic material, proteins, fats, oils, different organic soils that we're trying to work with. An alkaline cleaner is going to break those down and emulsify them much better than an acidic cleaner. An acidic cleaner does have its purpose. If you have a scenario where you have high mineral content in your water, or like say iron and different things like that, it's not all bad to put that in the rotation. Say every fourth wash or so you use an acidic cleaner. The walls they're kind of white and they get kind of yellowy or a little bit of red on them because of wherever you're at. They get stained. That'll help brighten them up. It takes that mineral layer off. That's another layer of the biofilm that we can remove. And the more layers of the biofilm that we remove, likewise we say, the disinfectant can work that much more effectively.
So what I heard you say was using an alkaline cleaner for general everyday cleaning, but every once in a while, once a month, every couple of months, to pull in an acidic type cleaner that will take some of that scale off and some of that sort of that biofilm, that deep residue that's left there sometimes, especially you notice it especially on the walls, right?
Exactly. I look at it as, in essence, you come in and do your spring cleaning. You think about Easter time and everybody cleans and you go out and you take care of everything after winter. I kind of look at it that way, as put it in at spring. Go in and use your acidic cleaner at that time of the year. You also are getting into a time of the year where you can wash areas that you don't get washed as well during winter in the northern climates, and taking a little more time and be a little more proactive about looking at the hygiene all around the facility, inside and out, loadout areas, offices, storerooms, generator rooms, things like that you can work with when the temperatures maybe are a little more favorable for washing.
Oh, right. Exactly. So what are some additional benefits that you can get from adding a cleaner into your process?
So some of those, like I was saying a little bit before, is you can save water. There's some different studies that have been done showing that there's some water savings. There's also some that say that actually using it in place of hot water, that it can work, but there's also others that are saying, well, hot water and a detergent is basically the gold standard program, and you're going to get the best effectiveness of cleaning. So that's one of the advantages. You're going to get a savings on water. As we all know, labor is a huge challenge within the operations today, and nobody wants to have to work any longer, nor are they getting paid any less. So if we can save on labor and where the employees can wash quicker, then ultimately that's another savings that we can have there. The other part is nobody wants to hang on the end of that power washer and blast away at a gate or a wall or a slat and basically get bored doing that, and skip over. So your effectiveness of cleaning is that much better because you can move through more efficient. You're fresher. The power washer is more fresher and working instead of being tired and fatigued there. The addition is we see in the contract growing operations where a lot of guys use contract washing companies that come through. They run 2 or 3 power washer wands at a time, those guys could potentially gain more buildings in a day. So say, for instance, they're doing maybe 2 buildings in a day. Could they get 2.5, 2.25, 3 buildings in a day? So they have some operational efficiencies potentially there. Maybe they can only work 3-4 days, or they have, many of those guys have other jobs that they do. Maybe they're a farmer, that's a grain farmer that's doing other work, and they pick up the contract washing as just some extra income.
Yeah, absolutely. Time, right? Time. It's more efficient, as you said, so it takes less time to cover a barn. So how do you tell me how you would convince a producer or one of those folks that are on a cleaning crew to use this type of product? What's your approach?
My approach is to help them understand what a cleaner is and how a cleaner works. Then a lot of times, and I'm one of the old school kind of people, shower in or get there to the site and physically wash a pen, go through it. I've had more than enough hours of holding a power washer, and when they see that you actually have done that washing, you're not just saying, okay, they know a little bit about it, about the chemistry maybe, but have they actually held the power washer and washed it all and experienced the different diets that create more challenges for the power washers? And it's a show and believe it, and then generally there they start to talk to other friends, and it kind of takes off from that standpoint. There have been some times that you can do some scientific testing by doing some swabbing and some things like that. That can help to a point. That can also be a little bit hit or miss depending on how the surfaces are, what the surfaces are like. If it's all stainless steel, things like that, those are easy to sample. Concrete, that creates a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Those tests aren't as good as I'd like them to be, because sometimes they create more questions than answers in terms of, what you're getting in the bacterial counts, or depending on what test you might be using. But you can certainly, what I have found also is just taking some pictures right before you start, and then after, and just a quick visual really point some things out that might be missed when you have this huge barn that your task is to clean it today. And so that's also helpful. And yeah, like you said, great approach. Just get in there and not only teach what are the chemistry and the processes behind the products, but also how do you use them appropriately.
It's fairly inexpensive also to sample a detergent for a little bit, or try a jug of detergent. So, it's not like you're buying a $1,000 vaccine or something like that and not sure if it's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about economics just a little bit then. So how can using a cleaner actually save you money?
So first of all, like I said, is water and time. The other part is on the facilities. If you're able to extend the length on the equipment and things of that sort, those ultimately are going to, the one that we can't always see, but a lot of times if we're able to inactivate and reduce that threshold level of pathogens within the facility and make the disinfectant work better, you're generally going to have a better performing, higher health herd and groups doing better on performance. There's a lot of other environmental factors that go into that, but if we reduce those threshold levels, those pathogens, those metrics that we're trying to control, then we can control the others. And we've got one part of the mystery of why we have diseases pop up maybe somewhat solved.
Yeah, I always say that's something you can control, right? How clean the barn is and what the bacteria or viruses that are there when the new pigs get into the barn, for instance. You can't really control what they might have in terms of internal pathogens, or what might be happening on the truck, or what might be happening with the weather after they get there, et cetera. But what you can control is when they get there, having a good, clean environment. And so at least you can feel empowered that that's something you can do to make a difference.
Exactly.
Looking to improve the performance of your finisher pigs? Digesterum Finish offers a phytogenic solution that boosts feed digestibility, enhances growth performance, and reduces mortality and morbidity. with benefits such as improved average daily gain by 1.7% and a 1.8% improvement in feed conversion. Digesterum Finish helps you achieve a faster finish and better profitability. Discover the benefits today. Learn more at dsm-firmenich.com/finish.
So tell me about how do you recommend mixing the products, et cetera? There's different application processes, right? You can go through we'll talk about cleaners here. You can go through a power washer itself. You can apply it beforehand, soaking, et cetera. Let's talk just a little bit about that.
So the classic way is going in and like a barn empties a finisher, say for instance, empties, and they hit on the sprinklers and wash down or soak down everything. Adding that cleaner can actually reduce that. Yes, you probably want to soak a little bit. We're not talking about hours of it, maybe 30 minutes of turning on your sprinklers just so everything is just kind of wet. Going back to that analogy with your car, first thing it does is it gets it wet, then it soaks it. And so then coming in, ideally running a foamer. Now, when you say foamer, what do you mean by that? They're as simple as a attachment that goes on the end of the power washer. Foam is created by air. Our products are made to foam. So when you incorporate air, running it through the power washer with what we would call a downstream injector, so the jug could be sitting by your power washer and past the pump and will draw through the product at a metered rate. And then the Venturi system that goes on to the end of the power washer will create more air and create the foam. Or you could have another fancier system if you have air compressors there and utilize a system that pumps the air in a regular garden hose style water and puts the foam out. But essentially, foam is going to give you contact time. Contact time is going to give you the ability for the surfactants, the amines within the detergent to break down the soils. You'll see a good detergent will take, basically, it'll be white foam, and it'll turn into brown foam in a matter of 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's basically emulsifying the soils and the biofilms. That's a good sign to see the brown film. And then the other part that a lot of people forget is you want to catch the sealing. So that gives you with the foam a contact time and a drier kind of not overly. I always laugh when I start to explain there's different types of foam: dry foam, wet foam, shaving cream, whipped cream, so forth. And then kind of like, okay, I think you've thought a little bit about foam, and it's like part of the job. So you think a little bit about foam. That kind of mix of having enough water that it's going to break down the soils, but also being light enough that it's going to stay as a foam and gain that contact time. Because ultimately, with anything with a clean and disinfection program, contact time is key.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I heard you say was there's different application equipment, but one important thing in your mind is a foamer, whether that's a separate machine or a foaming tip that might go on your power washer. And then that's adding air and a foam, like you said, and different I guess maybe amounts of air will make your foam thicker, thinner, and amounts of water. But then applying a foam and letting it set for a bit, which again, I can agree and attest to seeing that process happening on your barn wall. And it's also really nice to know where you've already applied. So if you're going along, yeah, and it's a visual, so you can see where you've already added that cleaner, and that's nice.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Very good. And so we're kind of wrapping up our discussion today. It sounds like Kevin has a lot of expertise at the application process, the chemistry process, about the products that CID Lines and Ecolabs have. So he's a resource for you if you have questions and want to get him out in the barn with you and learn more about cleaning and disinfection. If you have questions for him, you can send them through on our podcast. Send them through your usual platform that you're listening to. And while you're at it, if you like listening to our show, give us a thumbs up. We like to know how you like our show. And so before we wrap up, though, Kevin, I want to give you an opportunity just to throw in any last information about perfecting your hygiene program and your cleaning and disinfection to make the best out of your biosecurity program.
Yes, adding the cleaner, having the right disinfectant, matching up the chemistries are essential. I talked a lot about the building. All of these practices are applicable to transportation also. So any of the vehicles, so forth, I know that probably is an area that gets a little more of the detergents used. The other part is the service people's vehicles, the managers, the people going to the sites, those vehicles being washed are essential. But picking the right chemistry, having something that's safe for your buildings, your environment, that is effective, high foaming, good quality. You can buy inexpensive detergents, but that's exactly all you're getting is a cheap detergent. And how the benefit of having that detergent is to making your disinfectant work that much more effectively, and then utilizing the correct dilution rates, calculators that can help you work with making sure you're using the right amounts and making it the most efficient and the most economical program for your C&D program.
Yeah, very good. And I always say you're spending, the disinfectants are really the ones that are the more expensive. So spend a little bit more money on a cleaner and get those disinfectants to work better. It just makes sense in your program.
Exactly.
So very good. And well, lastly, what Kevin mentioned is don't forget you can use these cleaners and disinfectants on other things beyond the barn floors and walls. You can use them on vehicles and, of course, transport trailers. So just a good cleaning and disinfection program on really all those things that kind of touch a pig.
It's time for our famous three. An animal nutrition technology company offering innovative products and new applications for the swine industry. The combination of AB Vista enzymes, technical services, and nutrition expertise provides the industry with new opportunities to further improve production efficiencies. Fiber is receiving renewed interest due to its influence on the microbiome, and AB Vista has brought together research experts to discuss the industry's knowledge of fiber functionality and to introduce a Stimbiotic, targeted to improve fiber digestion. To request access, contact NAM at abvista.com. That's NAM at abvista.com.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you so much for being my guest. Before we finish, we have 3 questions that we ask all of our guests. So let's jump in. So the first one is, Kevin, tell us kind of your go-to, a place where you use as a resource for information and advice for your area of expertise on hygiene.
Ecolab, the parent company of CID Lines, is very good. They've been in, many people recognize the name and probably have seen it if they've been in a restaurant. So we have quite a bit of resource that way from the standpoint. So I utilize our technical people out of our research group, but also within the industry, the animal industry, SMEC and Iowa State and many of the other academic programs, along with some of the consulting vet clinics that I do business with, working with them in conjunction to gain knowledge and gain basically firsthand application and feedback from the field of what they're seeing and how things are working.
Yeah, very good. So for our audience, SMEC is the Swine Medicine Education Center, and it's a branch out of Iowa State that has a whole lot of resources. And they actually, one of their goals is to train and teach students through their education process. So yeah, that's a great one as well. And of course, don't forget Ecolab is a large company, and you can cross multiple disciplines and areas and get some information from perhaps human medicine that can be applied right to the same products and the same cleaning procedures. Yeah, very good. So the second question for you is just a resource or a book or something of interest outside of your area of expertise that our audience might be interested in.
Resource outside of my, I'm kind of one of those nerds. I like watching the how you do it type of things. So it's one of those, I've always been the guy that can figure out a way to get it done, even if I haven't done it before. And so I just look at different ways that, different resources. And my wife will ask me what I'm looking at on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I'm watching this guy wire this panel in. She's like, okay, whatever. So it's just, whatever is out there. And that impact of being able to, there's a ton of resources on the internet, right or wrong, but being able to decipher those and utilizing people within the industry. watch a fair amount of podcasts and listen to different things and read many of the technical publications and gain a lot from there.
Reminded me of an experience I had recently. We were traveling and there was a couple that had a flat tire on their rental car. And so the gentleman was watching a YouTube video on how to get the jack put in the right spot for that particular brand, style of car. And so I thought to myself, yeah, wouldn't have been my first thing to do, but that's just because, I think I've grew up on a farm and, have changed many tires and figure it out myself. But so he was laying on the pavement watching a YouTube video. And so, of course, there's a lot of resources that you can go. And those are, like we talked about before, a visual of how to clean a barn, same kind of thing, right, is so informative.
Yes.
All right. So the last question, Kevin, is tell me a attribute or characteristic that you find sets successful professionals apart from others.
That's actually a fairly easy one. And, working with a number of different people, professionals that are in the business that I have seen that have been the most successful are a person of the word. They say, I'm going to be there at noon. They're there at noon. They, if they say this is the way it is, you can trust them. So that honesty, trust, that energy, having that passion for what they're doing, because ultimately you can be working for something, but not have a passion. So you're just working. Or you can have a passion and it's your life and that's what you do. Even take calls when you're on vacation or things like that when it doesn't always go as well. But yeah, that's your passion. And that's where I look at it. And I always think the same thing is if they have a passion for what they're doing, I can have a passion for what I'm doing, and that's going to make me successful.
Yeah, very good. And it's easier to help somebody if they really want to know or really want to work hard or really want some help. So yeah, having that passion and that drive.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. That concludes our show. Thank you so much for being our guest. Again, this is Kevin Whitaker with CID LINES, a company of Ecolab, talking about hygiene and how to make your disinfectants work better for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan.